तो इस वर्ष में मदर दीति कंटिन्यू कर रही है. शी इज continuing her request to Kaśyapa Muni that because she is very much agitated by the sexual desire, so she is giving different logics and some moral and ethical principles also, that as a husband what is his duty. So in the previous verse, Diti had told that she wanted to have sons because she is very much distressed by seeing the opulence of my co-wives. So their opulence means having children. So for a grihastha, for an householder, the one opulence is having children in their home. So in this verse she is saying that woman is honored by the word, honored in the word by the benediction of her husband. Bhartari aporu urumananam, apto urumananam. Then an husband like you will become famous by having children because you are meant for expansion of living entity. Prajaya nanu jayate. Jayate means expansion. Prajaya means living entities. That's why Kaśyapa Muni is one of the Prajapatis, sons of Lord Brahma, who is a Prajapati. His main work was to populate the universe with the different kinds of living entities. As we discussed in the last class, most of the living creatures, either moving or non-moving, are the prajas of Kaśyapa, or the expansion from Kaśyapa from his different wives. He had 17 wives who are the daughters of Daksha Prajapati. So through all those 17, he populated the whole universe with different living entities like suras, asuras, reptiles, mosquitoes, birds, forest, mountain, river, ocean. So the list goes on like this. So all the moving or non-moving living creatures were produced by Kaśyapa. So in this verse, Diti is further making her request so strong by quoting some of the things like, as an husband, you should satisfy me, as well as a Prajapati, you are supposed to increase the population, expansion of the living entity. So please accept my request and satisfy my sexual desire. That's the request which Mother Diti is presenting before Kaśyapa Muni. So Prabhupada Purport में बता रहे कि one should not become father or mother unless one is confident that he can beget children whom he can deliver from the clutches of birth and death. So this is the famous statement from Ṛṣabhadeva, which in the Bhagavatam 5th canto, 5th chapter is basically an important instructions for the devotees in devotional service. So there's the instruction of Ṛṣabhadeva to his sons. So there Ṛṣabhadeva states, Guru na sasyat, swajano na sasyat, pita na sasyat, janani na sasyat, daivam na sasyat, napatischa na syan, namochayedya samupeta mrutyum. Namochayedya samupeta mrutyum. Unless you are confident that you can deliver your dependents from the clutches of mrityu, samupeta mrutyum, from the clutches of birth and death, then you should not become guru, spiritual master, then swajano are relatives, pitha, father, janani, mother, daivam, the respectable demigods. Even you cannot take up the position of a demigod if you are not in a position to deliver your dependents, those who worship you. You should be able to give them liberation from the clutches of birth and death. So then Prabhupada mentions, one who cannot deliver his dependents from the path of repeated birth and death should never become a spiritual master, a father, a husband, a mother, or a worshipable demigod. So this is a straightforward spiritual instructions wherein unless you are qualified, you should not even think of becoming a father. Because becoming a father is a responsible position. It is not just an act of sense gratification. It's a responsible position. That's the reason in one place Prabhupada sarcastically mentions, don't become bachelor daddies. What is the meaning? What does this means? That if you are becoming father, you should be responsible. That you give them proper spiritual trainings, proper knowledge. Whether they will take it up seriously or not, that's a different subject matter. But at least you should do your duty properly. Otherwise, then don't take up this position. So in that verse, Purport Prabhupada mentions that even if one becomes spiritual master, but if he is not qualified, what should a disciple do? Prabhupada quotes example of Bali Maharaj, where Bali Maharaj rejected his spiritual master, Shukracharya. First of all, you should not become spiritual master if you are not qualified. But if in case if you become, and if you are failing to deliver your duties as a spiritual master, then the disciple has the right to reject you. He can reject. Then further Prabhupada mentions, this was about spiritual master. Then about husband, you should not become husband. What if you become husband and not acting properly, not delivering your duties? So from Krishna book, when the Krishna sends his coward boys to beg alms from the Brahmanas. So Brahmanas, they said, no, all these offerings are meant to satisfy Lord Vishnu in the sacrifice. How can we give to Krishna? But the coward boys come back. Then Krishna sends them again. You go and approach the wives of Brahmanas now. So when they hear that Krishna and Balram are hungry, they said whatever offerings they had prepared for the sacrifice, they immediately gave it to the coward boys for the satisfaction of Krishna and Balram. So there Prabhupada mentions the wives of Brahmanas, so they went against the dictation of their husbands. The husbands were telling, no, you cannot give like this. But they went against because it is for the higher purpose. Then further Prabhupada mentions about father, like Prahlad Maharaj. He rejected his father. He addresses his father as, oh my dear father. No, he addresses him as Asura Varya Dehinam. He addresses him as, oh, greatest among the demons. He is not addressing him as, oh my father. Asura Varya Dehinam Sada Samudvigna Diyam Asadgrahat. You are always in anxiety because you have accepted something which doesn't exist. Asadgrahat. You have accepted something which doesn't exist. So like that, Prahlad Maharaj is rejecting his father. And then about mother, which is the example from the Bhagavatam. Who rejected his mother? Bharat Maharaj. Prabhupada mentions in the Purport, Bharat Maharaj rejected his mother, Jananina Sasyat. So because she was not giving him the right instructions, right directions, because Jada Bharata was already a elevated soul in that way. From his previous birth, he was very, very cautious. So, but because his mother was not giving that instructions, so he rejected his mother. So then Prabhupada further mentions, ordinarily the spiritual master, husband, father, mother or superior relative, that means Swajana, superior relative, accepts worship from an inferior relative, but here Ṛṣabhadeva forbids this. General practice is that whenever we meet any elders, what we do? We touch their feet, we offer obeisances, or at least we say namaste, general, normal etiquette. So, but the senior should be responsible if he is receiving that respect, whether it is a spiritual master, husband or father. So, Ṛṣabhadeva is forbidding if you are not qualified. So, everyone should be responsible and take charge of his dependents, just as a spiritual master takes charge of his disciple, or father takes charge of his son. All these responsibilities cannot be discharged honestly unless one can save the dependent from the repeated birth and death. So, here, even though Mother Diti is requesting Kaśyapa that it's your moral responsibility to satisfy your wife and your responsibility to increase progeny, but here Prabhupada is giving a caution that yes, Prajapati's responsibility is to increase the progeny, but not any kind of progeny. So Brahma, in the previous chapters we have read, when Brahmaji, he was doing his devotional service with great attention. So first he produced Kumaras, then they said no, then Rudra came out. Then Rudra, instead of increasing progeny, he started creating disturbance. Then Brahma thought, Rudra is doing, instead of creation, he is doing destruction. So let me stop him. Then he produced 10 different sons. Bhrughu, Atri, Pulaha, Pulatsya, like the 10 different sons, and 10th son was Narada Muni. So in that verse, Purport Prabhupada mentions that, yes, Brahmaji produced 10 different sons now to increase the progeny. So, but what was there in Brahma's mind? Because he has to execute the devotional service which the Lord has instructed him to provide a facility for the living entities to come to this world for reformation and go back to Godhead. But all the 9 sons of Brahmaji, which he created in the third instance or third batch, out of 10, all the 9, so they were great sages. There is no doubt about that. But Narada, in that Purport, Prabhupada mentions Narada Muni as the capable son of Brahmaji, a responsible son of Brahmaji. Why is that? All others were irresponsible or what? They were also responsible. They were also discharging their duties. But the progenies they are going to create, they will be mostly engaged in, involved in fruitive activities. Birth, death, old age, disease, how to satisfy the senses, how to create further progeny, they will all be involved in that. But the Narada Muni was created so that whomever these 9 sages they create, Narada Muni will preach to them about the real purpose of life. Why they have taken birth in this life and what they are supposed to do and what they are not supposed to do. That's why Prabhupada in the Purport mentions an able, responsible son of Lord Brahma. Narada Muni is mentioned like that. So, in this word, yes, the 9 different sages, whatever progenies they create, they will all be engaged in different fruitive activities. That's how this entire 99%, 999, you can take that many population in this world is completely interested in only in the word fruitive activities, sense gratification, mostly sense gratification. If they are really pious, if they have done some pious activities in their previous life, in this life they will get an opportunity to perform some fruitive activities for some pious results. That's also very small percentage. So keeping aside these two, those who are really interested in devotional service, they will be very, 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 very minimum. So that work Narada will be doing that. So that's the reason here Ṛṣabhadeva is saying that you should not become even spiritual master, father, mother, or respectable demigod, or relative, superior relative, unless you are very sure that you can deliver your disciples or the dependents from the birth and death. Then further Prabhupada in this Purport mentions, human life is the only opportunity to get out of the material scene, which is full of miseries of birth, death, old age and disease. Because all other species, out of 84 lakh species, only the 4 lakh species, the human births which the living entities take, only in those 4 lakh species, human species, they have an opportunity wherein they can think about what is my goal of my life. No one else will be, see, that's the reason, human beings have a greater responsibility. That's the sense where Prabhupada mentions don't become bachelor daddy. Why bachelor daddy? Just like, a dog gives birth to some 5-6 babies, puppies, they look very cute. What does the dog do? Of course, the male dog has no role to play in the complete scene at all except, making the female dog pregnant. So the female dog, what she does? It takes care of them up to certain days or certain months, 1 or 2 months maximum. After that, once they are able to take care of themselves, all the 6 puppies, they go on their own, on their route, and they engage further in the Janma Mrityu Jara Vyadhi, birth, death, old age, disease, or further procreation. So there is no, mother doesn't make them sit and teach them. Of course, mother, say like in the case of a tiger or lion or any other animal, they teaches their kids or puppies about what? How to catch another animal, how to defend yourself. Only these are the 2 major things which they teach. So how to maintain this body, and for the maintaining the body, one is protection, another is to get food. After that, after a few months, they are on the streets, repeating the same old story what their father and mother had done. But whereas in the human form, it is not like that. So no one leaves them on the streets immediately when they are 3 or 4 year old or 5 year old. Why? Because that's the only opportunity. Human form is the only opportunity wherein proper sanskaras can be done. Sanskaras, the father, mother has some responsibilities, duties to perform. Even Vedavyasa, when Shukadeva Goswami was born, he was born after about 16, 17 years, after being in the mother's womb for 16, 17 years. Immediately after Shukadeva Goswami was born, he started running away. So Vedavyasa starts running behind. In the first canto it is mentioned. First canto, 4th chapter, 5th chapter mentions about this. So Vedavyasa starts running behind him and requests, "Oh my son, please stop. As a father, I have some duties to perform. I have to perform your Namakarana, I have to perform your Upanayana Sanskara. I have to give you all Vedic knowledge. So once this is done, I am not going to hold you back in the home. Now we can further continue. I will not stop you. But till then, at least you be in the home and allow me to perform the duties as a father which I am supposed to execute." So that's the one. The human form is the only opportunity. Human life is the only opportunity wherein one has an opportunity to get out of the material scene, which is full of miseries of birth, death, old age, and disease. Otherwise, in all other 80 lakh species, like we say in the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says that those who are in the Sattva they go urdhvam gachanti sattvastva or madhye tishtanti rajasaha adamya jagadruttishtat ado gachanti tamasaha. So those who are in Sattva they go upwards. Those who are in Rajoguna, they stay in the same earthly planets. Upwards means they go to the heavenly planets. And then those who are in the Rajoguna, they stay in the earthly planets, middle planetary system. And those who are in Tamoguna, they go down to the lower planetary systems. So this is applicable only for human species, not for any other living entities. Why? Why is that? Because for another 80 lakh species, there is no process like this. For them, the evolution theory is fixed. What is fixed? After tiger, this living entity is going to take birth as cow. Then after cow, so and so, so and so. It is fixed till that living entity takes the body of a human being. Till he comes to the human form of life, the evolution theory is fixed. The process of evolution, the process of transmigration is fixed. But only in the case of human beings, they have an opportunity whether they want to take birth in human form of life, or they want to take birth in animal's life, or they want to take birth in demigod's life, or they want to go out of this material world, go back to Godhead. That's not available in any other living entities or any other species of life. That's the reason Shastras so much stresses about devotional service. Why we should not waste this human form of life. Prahlad Maharaj says, Durlabham Manusham Janma. This human form of life is very, very, very rare to get. Very, very rare. Durlabha. But even after taking this human form of life, if we don't take up devotional service and if we just simply waste this life, what can be done? So Prabhupada was in one country, in one big auditorium. Prabhupada was giving a lecture. Then Prabhupada was telling about, if you don't take care of this human form of body, if you don't become responsible, you may have to become a dog. So one fellow raised a hand and said, I don't mind becoming a dog. Prabhupada said, yes, my blessings are there with you. You become a dog. So people, they don't understand. That is the irony, that is the misguided civilization of this world. When a pure devotee comes, actually he comes with that compassion. He comes with compassion for these all living entities. How can I liberate them? Because people don't mind taking birth as a dog or any other living entities, because they don't know what is Swartha Gati. Nathe vidu Swartha Gatim hi Vishnu. They don't understand the value of life. Then further Prabhupada mentions, every human being should be given opportunity to take advantage of his human form of life. And a father like Kaśyapa is supposed to beget good children for the purpose of liberation. Yes, Kaśyapa Muni is a son of Brahma. So his main duty is what? As mentioned, his wife is also reminding him, Prajaya nanu jayate. Your duty is to expand the living entity, bring more and more living entities to this world. Yes, it is his duty, but not just duty. It is with a responsible duty. Because a person like Kaśyapa, who is a great sage, is not like an ordinary person, where he will beget children just for his sense gratification. He is very responsible. So he He is supposed to beget good children for the purpose of liberation. He is not supposed to beget just children. He is supposed to beget good children for the purpose of liberation, not for just sense gratificatory activity. Then children are born, they are on the streets. Now you take care of yourself. No, that's not the case. Especially persons like Kaśyapa Muni, those who are one who is in such a elevated position, where Daksha himself came and gave his daughters in charity to him for a marriage. So that's a responsible life. So Prabhupada in the Srimad Bhagavatam, first canto, 5th chapter, so Narada Muni recalls about his previous life. In fact, when he was instructing Vedavyasa, when Vedavyasa was apparently in a confused state, when he was in a dissatisfied condition, so then he was thinking, I have done so much of work for humanity. Have compiled all the 4 Vedas, Upanishads, Puranas and Upapuranas. So many things, so much of work I have done, but still I am not feeling satisfied. So that's the time Narada Muni comes there. So when Narada Muni comes, Narada Muni starts narrating that about his previous life. How was he in his previous life, and what made him to become Narada Muni in this life. So that time Narada Muni, he quotes, it's from 5th canto, 5th chapter of the 1st canto Srimad Bhagavatam. Te maya pikela chapale arbake, dhante druta kridanake anuvartini, shakru kranam yadyapi tulya darshana, susrushamane munayo alpa bhashini. So Narada Muni is telling, although they were impartial by nature, he is referring to Bhakti Vedantas, the sages who had come to the place where his mother was working as a maid servant. So those Bhakti Vedantas, they were impartial by nature. Those followers of Vedantas blessed me with their causeless mercy. As far as I was concerned, I was self-controlled. Narada Muni is referring that time when he was 5-year-old, when he happened to meet Bhakti Vedantas. So that time Narada Muni, what was his qualities? So as far as I was concerned, I was self-controlled and had no attachment for sports, even though I was a boy. In addition, I was not naughty and I did not speak more than required. So Narada Muni is mentioning that, Sushrushamane munayo alpa bhashini. Alpa bhashini means bolna, baat karna. Alpa bhashini means सिर्फ उतना ही बात करना जितना जरूरी है, उससे ज़्यादा बोलना नहीं है. So Narada Muni, he had all these qualities. So it's a long purport. Purport mentions some important messages for the humanity in that purport, for devotees. The irresponsible life of sense enjoyment was unknown to the children of followers of Varnashrama system. So Prabhupada here he quotes about Varnashrama system. What used to happen was that a child, when he attains, when he becomes 4 or 5 year old, he is sent to Gurukula, to the ashrama of the Guru, a qualified Guru. So there was no discrimination. Only a king's son should come, or only Brahmana son should come. Anyone who is interested to send their children to the Gurukula, they can send. And Gurukula had certain rules and regulations. Those who are ready to follow, so those children can get admitted. So whether he is a king's son, Brahmana son, or any poverty-stricken person's son, there was no discrimination. And not only discrimination in admission, even in the ashram also, they were all treated equally. So Purport in that Purport mentions that even the emperor's son or a king's son is also treated equally, because he has to learn some of the facts of the life. Otherwise, in his kingdom, he would have never seen what is the meaning of difficulty, what is struggle for life. All those basic things, what is the meaning of penance. So Gurukula teaches us that Guru's duty is to teach them about the real values of life, not like the modern education, where modern education teaches them about how to earn bread and butter, how to earn money, how to maintain ourselves. But whereas Gurukula was not like that. Gurukula was teaching them about the real life lessons, about how to lead a peaceful Vedic life. So their Prabhupada mentioned the irresponsible life of sense enjoyment was unknown to the children of followers of Varnashrama Dharma. So from the beginning they were taught that Sense gratification is not just our aim or motto in the life. That's why for the first 25 years or 1/4 of their life, they are supposed to practice strict brahmacharya. Brahmachare gurukule vasandhante gurur hitam. So when they go to Gurukula for what? Brahmachari goes to Gurukula for the pleasure of Guru. Whatever Guru dictates, whatever Guru instructs, he strictly abides by those instructions and he follows that. Then a boy was injected with spiritual acumen before being placed by the father in the womb of the mother. Both the father and mother were responsible for the boy's success in being liberated from the material bondage. That is the process of successful family planning. Same purport Prabhupada mentions. In the modern day, present days, what is the meaning of family planning? No more children. That is known as family planning. Family planning means, after 2 children, they undergo some surgery or they, some contraceptives they take. That is known as family planning. Actually, what is Vedic family planning? That means the boy was injected with spiritual acumen, spiritual qualities before being placed by the father in the womb of the mother. That means Garbhadana Sanskara. That's actually the real family planning. Starting from that Garbhadana Sanskara, a child is imbibed or injected with spiritual qualities. Then further Prabhupada mentions, without being self-controlled, without being disciplined, and without being fully obedient, no one can become successful in following the instructions of the spiritual master. So 3 important things Prabhupada in that purport mentions: without being self-controlled, without being self-disciplined, and without being fully obedient. No one can become successful in following the instructions of the spiritual master, and without doing so, no one is able to go back to Godhead. So without doing so, no one will not be able to go back to Godhead if you don't satisfy spiritual master. And to satisfy spiritual master, one has to have these qualities. So in the context of Narada Muni explaining his qualities, Prabhupada mentions that. So what is the importance of Varnashrama Dharma? So like here, Mother Diti is requesting Kaśyapa. It's not just to beget good children. She just wanted to satisfy her lusty desires because she was agitated by the Kamadeva's influence. She was agitated at that too at a very wrong time. Even to beget a good children, there are certain processes to be followed as per the Vedic custom. So even though she is not wrong, morally speaking, ethically speaking, she is requesting her husband. The husband's duty is to satisfy the wife, and she is requesting that for real wealth, the wealth of a family householder is what? Children. So she's perfectly right in requesting her husband to grant me some children. But still, 2 great demons were born out of this union between Kaśyapa and Mother Diti because of these wrong reasons. So then there is another comparison in the Srimad Bhagavatam, similar kind of a comparison. In the 3rd canto, Mother Devahuti also requests Kaśyapa, Kardama Muni. Here it is Diti and Kaśyapa. There it is Devahuti and Kardama Muni. So Devahuti was a daughter of Swayambhuva Manu. So when Kardama Muni wanted to get married, so he requests Brahma. So then Brahma tells Kaśyapa, Swayambhuva Manu. Swayambhuva Manu and his wife, they both come to Kardama Muni's place, bring their daughter, they do Kanyadana ceremony, and they go back. So then after that, Devahuti was serving her husband very chastefully to such an extent where she had forgot to comb her hair. Lavanya Keshadaranam. In this word, people consider their hair as beauty. Lavanya means beauty, especially Matajis. So, but Devahuti was so chasteful, was so absorbed in the service of her husband that she forgot even her comb her hairs. The hairs have become matted. Sometimes it happens when we don't comb that, hairs all become completely matted. It becomes one bunch. So she had become thin and lean because she was continuously serving. Her only attention was to serve the husband, Kardama Muni. Then Kardama Muni becomes compassionate towards her, seeing her condition, seeing her chasteful service towards him. Then he tells about process of devotional service. Serve chastefully. Because serving Kardama Muni means because she is assisting him in his devotional service. Kardama Muni is engaged in full devotional service, pure devotional service. So she is assisting means she is assisting in the pure devotional service. So you have received that mercy of Lord Vishnu. Now please tell me, how can I serve you or how can I satisfy you? So then Mother Devahuti addresses Kardama Muni that Devahuti Ruvacha Radham Batadvija Ṛṣaisat Amoga Yoga Maya Dipe Tvai Vibho Tad Avaimi Bharta. Again, the word Bharta is used. Even in the today's verse it was mentioned. Bhartari Apta Urumanana. Bharta means husband. So Devahuti is also addressing her husband, Kardama Muni. Yaste abhyadhayi samaya sukrut anga sango bhuyad giriyashi guna prasavan satinam. So satinam means a chasteful wife. So translation, Shri Devahuti said, my dear husband, O best of the Brahmanas, I know that you have achieved perfection and you are the master of all infallible mystic powers because you are under the protection of Yoga Maya, the transcendental nature. But you once made a promise that our bodily union should now fulfill, since children are great quality for a chaste woman who has a glorious husband. So when Kardama Muni asked, how can I satisfy you? So Devahuti is telling that, you had made a promise before. I am not asking just because I want. You had made a promise to my father and mother when they had come to drop you at your ashram. So you had made a promise that, I will bless her with a qualified son, good son, not any ordinary son. So how when the personality of Godhead or his powerful incarnations or his pure devotees have to incarnate, that not just happens by chance, like it happens in the case of other living entities like us. It all actually, it's a will of providence. That's why Kardama Muni that time only had promised Devavuti's father that Manu, Swayambhuva Manu, that I will bless your daughter with a qualified son, good son. So then, since children are great quality for a chaste woman who has a glorious husband. So here also Devahuti is telling children means a great quality for a chaste woman, because householder means they need to have children. But what kind of children? That's the question when it comes to spiritual life. So in that Purport Prabhupada mentions, Kardama Muni was a great soul and therefore he was under the spiritual energy. Like Devahuti is telling that you are under the protection of Yoga Maya. So he was under the spiritual energy, which means that he was directly connected with the Supreme Lord. The symptom of this is Krishna consciousness, constant engagement in devotional service. So Kardama Muni was always engaged in devotional service. That too, constant engagement in devotional service. Then this was known to Devahuti, yet she was anxious to have a son by bodily union with a sage. Similarly, how Mother Diti is requesting Kaśyapa for a bodily union. So Devahuti, even though she knew that he is a pure devotee, he is engaged in the pure devotional service, but still she is asking for a bodily union with a sage. So she reminded her husband of his promise to her parents, I will remain only until the time of Devahuti's pregnancy. He had promised that I'll gift her with a good son, and immediately after that I am going to retire from my family life. That will be the end of my family life. She reminded him that for a chaste woman to have a child by a great personality is most glorious. The word Stri means expansion. By bodily union of her husband and by bodily union of the husband and wife, their qualities are expanded. Like here, Diti is addressing Kaśyapa as Prajaya Nanu Jayate, who is meant for the expansion of living entities. So here in this verse it is mentioned, Stri means expansion. And then bodily union of husband and wife, their qualities are expanded. If both of them are in a proper spiritual consciousness, the child, those who will be taking birth, will also be spiritually potent children, not Varnashankaras, not unwanted population. Children born of good parents are expansions of the parents' personal qualifications. Both Kardama Muni and Devahuti were spiritually enlightened. Therefore, she desired from the beginning that first she be pregnant and then she be empowered with the achievements of God grace and love of God. For a woman, it's a great ambition to have a son of the same quality as a highly qualified husband. Since she had the opportunity to have Kardama Muni as her husband, she also desired to have a child by bodily union. So here also similar situation stands. But here the difference is that both Kardama Muni and Devavati were spiritually potent consciousness. It was not just for the sense gratification. If that was the case, Devavati would have desired much before. She would have not served Kardama Muni chastely without taking care of her body. She served him, and when the husband became pleased, when he himself asked, then Devavati is requesting, if possible, please give me a son. Because son means what? For a woman, it's a great ambition to have a son of the same quality as a highly qualified husband. It's her ambition, it's her life desire. But that son should be spiritually qualified son, not like any other Varna Sankaras, the present day generations. So from these Bhagavatam principles we can understand, even though there are certain material principles, like there are certain ethical, moral principles, but when it comes to spiritual life, they may not hold good. They may not stand always right in front of spiritual principles. What happens in the spiritual life? Say suppose a Krishna conscious Grihastha life. What they aspire is a Krishna-centered family life. Like how in a brahmachari in ashram, what is the purpose of brahmachari ashram? As it is mentioned in the Srimad Bhagavatam, brahmachare gurukule vasandhante gurur hitam. It's a pleasure of Guru, pleasing Guru, serving the Guru is the motive of a brahmachari ashram. Similarly, what is the motive for a grihastha ashram? To have a Krishna-centric, Krishna-conscious grihastha life. Whether they have children or not children, whether they have a good family life or no family life, it actually matters, it becomes secondary. First and foremost principle is what? To have Krishna as the center of their activities. Krishna should be the center of all our activity. That should be the motto. If that is not the case, then demons will be born like Hiranyaksha and Hiranyakashipu. What is the use of that kind of a grihastha life? So then sometimes even parents when they tell, यदि हमें पता होता था तुम इस तरीके से काम करोगे तो बचपन में मार देते तुम्हें, इतना बड़ा राक्षस बनते. कभी कुछ सपोज जब कुछ गलत काम करते हैं, कभी कोई मर्डर कर दिया, कोई रेप कर दिया, कोई उनको पुलिस में पनिशमेंट हो गया, दैट टाइम पेरेंट्स लैमेंट, यदि हमें ऐसे पता होता तो ऐसे बच्चा पैदा होने वाला है, फिर तो हम बचपन में मार देते. So, but what is the use now? For that, entire society has to be properly trained. They have to become Krishna conscious. Only by becoming Krishna conscious, a person can become a responsible father, a responsible mother, a responsible guardian. You want to become a guardian, responsible guardian. Only Krishna conscious is the solution. Otherwise, there is no other solution. Any other solution, any other arrangements we are trying, people try to make, it's all temporary. Nothing is going to work. So like how here we saw that Mother Devahuti, because of her chastity, she could please her husband. So for chastity is an ornament for a woman. Similarly, there is a chastity for male also. Chastity is meant not only for females. It's meant for even males, means any disabled, whether it is male or female. Both of them has to have a chastity. So what is the chastity for disabled in the spiritual life? Just like how for woman, chastity means she should be very, very submissive to her husband, serve him nicely. Prabhupada in one place, Prabhupada narrates, when I was reading through one lecture, Prabhupada told a story that, so a boy and girl, they got married. It's all arranged marriage. Everything was proper families. They saw everything. Then after the marriage, the husband, he was a very respectable businessman, but he somehow underwent severe loss in his business. From billionaire, he became to zero. He came literally on the streets. Then Prabhupada mentions that they were in so much of poverty-stricken condition, they didn't have proper clothes. So they used to tear apart whatever the piece of cloth they have into two pieces, and one piece husband will wear and another piece wife will wear. So that shows that her wife, okay, when I married he was very opulent, now he is not having any money. So does that mean that wife should leave? That's the one example of woman's chastity. She will not leave husband whether he is poverty stricken, whether he is having all bad qualities, whatever. Vedic life there was no question of divorce at all. That means they have to live for together. Similarly, there is a similar principle for disciples in spiritual life, disciples of a spiritual master. So Prabhupada in one lecture mentions that, so Prabhupada was referring to Mahabharata pastime where Duryodhana and Bhima fighting happened. So then Bhima was trying to kill Duryodhana from different angles, from different methods he used, but he was not able to kill. The reason was that, so because of Gandhari's power, because Gandhari was a chaste woman, she faithfully served her husband throughout her life, starting from her marriage. Ever since she came to know that, my husband is a blind man, and my father has already accepted that, okay, I am going to give my daughter to you. Then she blindfolded herself, self-made blindness. She covered her eyes with a cloth throughout her life. So because of her chastity, Gandhari had so much of power that she could turn Duryodhana's body like a thunderbolt. Duryodhana's another name is Vajrakaya. Vajrakaya means body, Vajra means like a thunderbolt. He has such a strong body because Gandhari had that kind of a power. So then Prabhupada in that mentions, because her husband was blind, she used to remain as blind woman covering her eyes, but she had some power. Chaste woman, anyone who sticks to the regulative principles, he gets a power, spiritual or material. Not necessary that that they get only spiritual power, like how Devavati got a spiritual power and spiritual blessing. Sometimes it may be material. What Gandhari got was just a material thing. She could turn his body into a thunderbolt. She could not make him as immortal. She didn't have that power. So that may be a material power. But whatever it is, whether material or spiritual, because of chastity, because of some regulative principles, one will get power. So further Prabhupada mentions, a brahmachari gets power if he follows brahmacharya. Everyone, if you follow the prescribed rules and regulations, automatically you become powerful. Just like how Gandhari just followed the regulative principles as a chaste woman, she got that power. Similarly, if a devotee, a brahmachari follows the brahmacharya strictly, he will get the power. And if you follow the prescribed rules and regulations, regulative principles, automatically you become powerful. So this will be a spiritual power, not just a material power. We are not interested in, like Srimad Bhagavatam says about Shukadeva Goswami as Urdhvareta. What is the meaning of Urdhvareta? He would lift his semen upwards. That means is the semen which is generated in his body. So that was used for nourishing the finer tissues of the brain. So that for the spiritual cultivation. That's the reason why brahmachari means first principle is no sex at all. So because of that he will get a power. But that's even secondary. But following the regulative principles and prescribed rules and regulations, that is more important. By doing so, one will become more powerful, one will become more potent. Best example is Bhishmadeva. Today is Bhishmashtami, the disappearance day of Bhishmadeva. So he followed, he had taken the vow that, I will not get married throughout my life. So there is a, pastime, we have heard from Srila Prabhupada narrating that pastime, couple of places. So he was the son of Shantanu. Then to please his father, to allow him to get married with Devayani. No, what is that one name? Satyavati. So Satyavati. So he took a vow that lifelong I'll remain a brahmachari. I'll never get married. Apart from this, Bhishmadeva had many other spiritual qualities which Srimad Bhagavatam, 9th canto, which is the chapter dedicated for the pastimes of Bhishmadeva leaving his body. So Bhishmadeva fought very furiously, very chivalrously in the Kurukshetra war. Then when finally Duryodhana started criticizing Bhishmadeva that so many days of war is over now. You have not killed, forget about killing, not even hurted even a single Pandava. From our side, so many of my brothers are died, my brother-in-law is died, so many of my great warriors have died. But on the other side, on the other hand, Pandava's side, Pandavas even they are not even simply hurt also. That means you are doing a partiality, you are showing favorism to your favorite grandchildren's. So when the Bhishma heard this, because he was a very religious person, Bhishma was not a ordinary miserly person. He was a very broad-hearted. So then he takes that very seriously, because he was working for Duryodhana. He was fighting for Duryodhana. He could not take this insult. So he takes a vow that tomorrow I am going to kill all the 5 Pandavas. So he prepares 5 special arrows to kill them. So then he tells the Duryodhana, you keep it with them. But of course, Krishna cheats and takes away those 5 arrows from Duryodhana as well through Arjuna. So then when Bhishmadeva comes to know that the special arrows which we prepared are no longer with Duryodhana, he said, never, doesn't matter, don't worry. My power is not limited to these only 5 arrows. I can still fight, and I am still abided by my oath that I am going to kill 5 Pandavas. So then when he was fighting very fiercely, very aggressively, Krishna saw that when he shot an arrow, it was about to behead Arjuna, kill Arjuna. So then Krishna became very angry. Then Krishna jumps from the chariot. He took one of the broken wheel of a chariot and he wanted to kill Bhishma. So Bhishma, even though he had taken a vow that I will definitely going to kill Pandavas, or he also had told that either Pandavas have to die or Krishna has to break his promise that I will not take up any arm in the battlefield. So when Krishna lifted a broken wheel of a chariot, then Bhishma said, okay, now nothing they're doing. I'm fully surrendered now. So because when Krishna himself wants to kill you, what can be the more glorious death than this? So Bhishma accepted very happily, and he left his all bow and arrow. He was ready, prepared to die in the hands of Krishna. But somehow Arjuna stops him. So then, because that was not the time where Bhishma was destined to die, then Arjuna shoots series of arrows. Then Bhishma falls on the bed of arrows. Then he was patiently waiting for Uttarayana to come, because that was the Dakshinayana time. That was not an auspicious time for mystic yogis, not for devotees. Devotees don't see any auspicious or inauspicious time. They don't see any time, place or circumstances in either for discharging devotional service or whether it is living body. But Bhishma, that's what Prabhupada in the Purport mentions, it's actually meant for a mystic yogi. So then Bhishma was waiting for Uttarayana to come. So then today is that auspicious moment in the Magha Mantha, the 8th day of Magh month. So Bhishma was prepared to die. So before Bhishma even left his body, so wonderful arrangements were made. Generally what happens, when, say suppose, former prime minister dies, entire country it will be a big news in the entire media, newspaper, channel, among all social media, that former prime minister has died, our chief minister of the state has died. So many people go to see him, wish him, or even before he dies, when he becomes sick, so many people wants to go to the hospital to wish him recovery. Some pujas will happen, because he's a great personality. So similarly, Bhishma was not an ordinary personality; he was a great personality. So how his death actually happened, that's explained in the 9th canto, where it's mentioned. Just to see the chief of the descendants of King Bharata, Bhishma, all the great souls in the universe, namely the rishis amongst the demigods, brahmanas and kings, all situated in the quality of goodness, were assembled there. And who are all assembled? All the sages like Parvata Muni, Narada, Dhaumya, Vyasa, the incarnation of God, Bruhatvasha, Bharadwaja, Parshuram with his disciples, Vashishta, Indra Pramada, Trita, Grisamanda, Asita, Kakshivan, Gautama, Atri, Kaushika, Sudarshana were present. Then, and many others like Shukadeva Goswami and other purified souls, Kaśyapa, Angiras and others, all accompanied by their respective disciples, arrived there. So many great personalities with their disciples, and Pandavas with Krishna, entire Kuru dynasty, leftover Kuru dynasty. They all had come to witness, to see Bhishma Dev. Then Bhishma Dev, in that condition, then Bhishma Deva, after he saw all these great personalities and Krishna standing just in front of him, so Bhishma Deva is praying to Lord Krishna that being absolute personality of Godhead, he is present in everyone's heart. He is equally kind to everyone and he is free from the false ego of differentiation. Therefore, whatever he does, he is free from material inability, he is equibalanced. Yet, despite his being equally kind to everyone, he has graciously come before me while I am ending my life, for I am his unflinching servitor. So Bhishma is also recalling, though the Supreme Lord is just standing in front of me, because Bhishma desired that while I am leaving the body, I want to see Lord Krishna in front of me. I want to leave my body seeing his lotus face. So Krishna was standing, so Bhishma Deva is remembering his good fortune that, even though the Supreme Lord is present in everyone, he is equally kind to everyone and is free from false ego of differentiation, all these qualities, and is equibalanced. That great personality, yet despite is being equally kind to everyone, he has graciously come before me while I am ending my life, for I am his unflinching servitor. So that was the greatest benediction which a devotee can get, where they are able to see Krishna face to face while leaving the body. What is actually yam mapis param bhavam tejantyante kalevaram. So whatever we remember at the time of leaving the body, we will remember the same. We will get the next body accordingly. So just imagine if you are able to see Krishna face to face while leaving the body. You can imagine the good fortune of Lord Bhishma Deva. The Lord is standing in front of Bhishma Deva. So that was the greatest quality, great fortune of Bhishma Deva, which happened on this auspicious day. So Bhishma had as a special blessings from his father, a special he had taken a of brahmacharya. So because he had taken that such strict his father has blessed him that you will get Icha Mrityu. Icha Marani. Icha Marani means you can die whenever you want. So Bhishma Deva could have left whenever he wanted. Even though he waited for all these auspicious things, but more than that, he was waiting for Lord to come personally in front of him. That was his desire. So because of his father, this thing, he had Icha Mrityu, but he had even more spiritual qualities, not only material benedictions, he had spiritual benedictions like Krishna coming and blessing him, gracing him while he is leaving the body. So today is that auspicious day. So I'll stop here. Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam ki, Jagat Guru Srila Prabhupada ki, Nitai Gaur Premanande.